thank you for joining me today. That makes it our 1 month anniversary of Authentic Hustle, guys. We did it 1 whole month.
Congratulations to us and everyone watching.
Yes, I'm sorry to everyone watching. How about that?
Yeah.
We promise we'll do better.
Hey, we're still here.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully Brian will be joining us shortly. He is not sick. He had a technical issue. So I am hoping that very soon here, Brian will be joining us. If not, well, we'll get him next week, I guess.
He can listen live.
That's right. That's right. Listen to the live show. Amazing. Well, who wants to kick us off first? I know we all have, I think, some pretty big topics today. I have a feeling we all came well prepared. The premise on Authentic Hustle, for people that have not heard this show before, we are all entrepreneurs. We all run and operate our own businesses. 2 out of 4 of us are podcasters, with the other 2 coming shortly behind, right?
Shortly.
Either way, lots of podcast experience between the 4 of us. Been on many shows, even if you don't have your own setup yet. Hey, Colin?
That's right. That's right. Close. I have pieces of it.
And what we do is we come for an authentic conversation once per week. So we bring a topic. Nobody knows what the topics are. We show up. It's an authentic, real conversation. We're going to talk podcasting. We're going to talk business. We're going to talk politics. We're going to talk life. We're just going to talk it all. And hopefully there's some value for each of you in every single show. And Vajay, you haven't launched us off, I don't think, ever. So why don't you start the show today?
Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to our episode 4 of Authentic Hustle. And this is the 1 month completion of our Authentic Hustle. And today I want to get us started on a topic that many were interested in. I think we all went to school. And I'm sure, Colin, you saw that video. I just want to share it wider so that like more people watch it, and let's talk about it. Can I go ahead and play a video, Kelly, if you don't mind?
Yes, I'm not sure if it'll let me share it. That's the only thing.
No, I'll share it. I'll share it. Yeah. Just let me know if you're able to hear the audio.
I have no audio on our side.
No audio? How about you, Colin?
No audio.
You don't get the audio?
No audio yet. I think we may have to trial run this one, Vijay, next time. We can do it on the next one.
Yeah, let's do it next time. Yeah,
I'm fashionably late. Sorry, gents.
There's Mr. Hayes.
Fashionably late. I'm gonna come in, right under the radar.
That's right.
What was that? Did you shave your beard?
Yeah.
You look great.
Thank you.
Holy cow! I noticed that straight away.
In all fairness, it was a total mistake, but I'm owning it, and it'll be back in a month.
Oh no! You were like,
yeah. No, it was. I look at the number settings on my razor. I know there's lots of people out there that just look at the number settings on their razor and go for it. And it didn't move the guard up, and so I had a very close shave. And so for maybe one of the only times you will ever see on Authentic Hustle, I have a very bare face.
He's authentic. It's authentic right there. And did your kids recognize you?
You know what's funny? My son, Jet, just looked at me. Like, he's over 1. He's 14 months right now. And he just sat there and like stared at me. He's never seen me without a beard.
Yes, this is not my dad.
Yeah.
Who are you?
It was really...
I'm telling mom.
And then when he realized, there was a big smile on his face, but it took him a minute to realize who I was. It was kind of funny.
That's funny. His name's Jet?
Yeah.
What a name.
Jet.
He's going to be a fast kid.
That's right.
He's going to be fast.
Set him up for success right from the beginning.
So Jet, man, that's a cool name.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, BJ.
Hey,
hello, Colin.
I'm just
he's so pretty. I had to say hi to him first.
Can you tell me if you hear the audio now?
Me slow, but
yes, we have audio.
16.
You have audio? Okay, perfect. Let me play it from the beginning.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's hit it.
What is school for? Feel free to call me slow, but I spent 16 years going to school, and I still don't know. When I finished, I didn't know how to do my own taxes, purchase a home or apply for a loan. I didn't know a thing about investments, building credit, or getting a job. I graduated at the top of my class, and what did I have? This fancy diploma to sit at home with. My mom.
My mom. I know you was going to say that.
Important skills like factoring trinomials and how mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I'm so happy I remember the Pythagorean theorem because it helped me a lot. Okay, I'm lying. Let me stop. Because all the stuff they taught me, truthfully, I forgot. Mom, remember when you would ask me, what did you learn in school today? And I would say, nothing much. I wasn't being modest. The truth about it, Mom, is I had already forgotten. And it's not just me. Millions of students sing the same song. How many of you guys avoid eye contact with the teacher to try not to get caught upon? Afraid to raise your hand for fear of being wrong, which proves that school isn't an environment for learning or building up the intellect. It's just a game you play for grades and how many A's you can collect. But I guess what do you expect when the most commonly asked question in class is this gonna be on the test? Is this gonna be on the test? See, if school put learning instead of testing and memorizing as the top standard, then the letter F would not stand for failure. It would stand for find another answer. And if school was really interested in our personal and academic success, students would wake up later, have more freedom and homework, a lot less. And that's not my opinion. This conclusion has been scientifically tested and proven. And any teacher that doesn't believe me, feel free to check my works cited page to inspect. Oh, and I did it in MLA format because I know that's all you will accept. See, students would get more benefit from an extra hour of sleep than putting them through the torture of an extra essay, reading 150 pages, doing problems 1 through 60 on the worksheet, and having 3 projects due by the end of the week. Not only is it pointless pain, but it's also dim-witted, because we get so much work, but they don't teach the time management skills to deal with it. See, in school, we are controlled by bells. We have to learn in rooms with the feng shui of a prison cell. We have to ask permission to relieve bodily functions, but not before the teacher asks a million questions like, why didn't you go before class? I'm sorry, my bladder is kind of on its own schedule and it's not always timely. See, teachers always say, use your time wisely, but that never made sense to me. Because these 6 cruel hours of our lives we call school might literally be the worst use of time management ever in history. Think about it. The traditional teaching method is foolish. No, it's useless, multiplied by the square root of stupid. What they do is they cram information in your head, force feeding you, and then you throw it up on the test. That's not education. That's bulimia. And the more bulimic you are, the better you will do on their assessments. So it's no wonder why so many students graduate mentally and emotionally anorexic. See, school teaches you how to memorize dots. True education should teach you how to connect them. True education teaches you how to catch a fish. School teaches you, yeah, you caught the fish, but you didn't show your work, so it doesn't count. Throw it back. Yeah. I'm just asking, what is school for? It's not education. That's just not true. If you still think that, you might be sniffing glue. See, the word education comes from the Latin root educe, meaning bring out, i.e. bring the gifts out of a person and make them viable. But school doesn't bring out much. It just stuffs more facts inside of you. Now, some of that stuff is justifiable. We need reading, writing, and some arithmetic. That's fair. But are you telling me metamorphic and igneous rocks are more important than self-care? If suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death of ages 10 to 24, and Harvard studies suggest the biggest predictor for success is self-control and emotional health, then why the heck aren't we taught how to handle stress, bullies, or rejection? How about anxiety or depression? You know, skills we need for our entire lives. Bro, I don't even know how to cook. I'm honestly surprised I'm still alive. But hey, at least I can name all the battles that happened in the Civil War. Seriously, what is school for? Some say you need it to be successful, and that's something we find out. But do you own a MacBook or iPhone? Did you know they both were created by a dropout? Are you watching this video on Facebook or YouTube? Doesn't matter which you choose, they both were created by dropouts. Ever use Snapchat, WhatsApp, shopped at Whole Foods? Well, thank a dropout. Does your home furniture come from IKEA? Okay, don't get the wrong idea. He was not a dropout. Don't be a fool. I mean, how could he drop out? Ingvar Kamprad, founder of IKEA, never even went to school. I know what you're thinking. He's just picking and choosing. There's millions who didn't go to school that aren't successful. Who is he fooling? And you're right. But open your history books and start perusing. You'll find the very people we idolize in school never really had formal and/or secondary schooling. I'm talking George Washington, Abe Lincoln. America's best presidents had zero school between them. Ben Franklin, Thomas Edison, shall I proceed? Ernest Hemingway, Mark Twain, Teddy Roosevelt, Margaret Mead. Now please, I'm not saying drop out, because some schools are great and many teachers are rare treasures. I'm saying that there's a difference between people who are smart and people who score better. I'm saying that your future is something that no test will ever measure. Even if that test begins in 3 letters like SAT, ACT, it's BS if they say those determine your LIFE. No, your destiny is in your hands. You must shape it to be great. So don't expect school to open doors, because it's more likely to slam them in your face. Sometimes I wonder about all the dreams lost in school and how much potential goes to waste. If it wasn't for music and YouTube, then I would have been just another lost case. Everybody watching this, please, close your eyes. Imagine a child sitting in the back of some teacher's class in some town. He never raises his hand, he fails most of his classes, but inside of him, there is a passion. And if nurtured and brought out, will lead him to discover the cure for cancer.
Let me know that part.
But you see, I'm afraid that that child's gift will never come out. He will never win the Nobel Prize award because in class he was ignored and his worth was judged only by his scores. So teachers, principals, parents, advisors, and students, I ask one more time, what is school for?
That's interesting.
Wow.
I can speak to that. Who went to school here? Are you two smarties in the middle? You guys went to school? Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went to school? You went to school? I didn't go to school. Colin, you go to school? I didn't go to school. No, I couldn't sit down to save my life. My ADHD was so terrible. It was funny. I always remember this. Every time I think of school, I think of this one moment.
Yeah.
It was silent, completely silent in the classroom, and everyone was taking a test. And I was like, I couldn't sit down. And I just got up and I went to the electric pencil sharpener and started sharpening my pencil in the middle of the test. Yeah. The teacher's like, "What are you doing?" I know. I would always say, but it's like I couldn't sit. Mm-hmm. And as I grew up, I joined the military, and that was what got me through school. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. You know, some people learn like that. I didn't. I need to learn while I'm doing.
It's a tough one because what school I think is really supposed to teach you is how to continue learning, right? But here's my argument why the old method I don't think makes sense anymore. And it doesn't make sense anymore because the whole world has changed. Like the entire world changed in 2000.
Think about going to school with ChatGPT. Come on. Oh, I get all A's. I'm done, bro. That's who I'm copying from.
I feel like that with the iPhone, right? Like the iPhone and like where computing power kind of went through the roof and you had all the answers you needed in the palm of your hand. I remember sitting in class and my teacher being adamant that, "Kelly, you will never have a calculator in my pocket." And I wish
I was just going to say that. Son of a gun.
She's been like, "Dude, no, I'm going to have like the smartest supercomputer on planet Earth in my pocket."
Yeah.
But, yeah, no worries.
I remember saying, "Well, I guess I'm carrying one around," you know.
Yeah. And I guess so you are. Funny. You weren't wrong.
I am. Yeah, I am. That's funny. I think school is great. My sister, bless her heart, she is so smart. She had A's like all through school. Like she was good at school. And she would always tell me, how hard is it in 5th grade? How hard is it in 8th grade? How hard is it in 9th grade? I'm like, oh, it's going to be tough. Might not get straight A's. And she did. Graduated with 4.0, did her undergrad 4.0. She went to dental school. joined the military. They paid for her schooling. She scored like super high on the military officer entrance exam. It's just some people can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just wasn't how I could. I just couldn't. So it's not like it's not in my blood.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, I mean, I went to school also, like, but I never enjoyed it actually, because I could never take instructions. Like, that's my problem. Like, I cannot take instruction. I've told this to Brian 100 times. Like, I cannot. And I think what school and the system is trying to do is like, they're trying to create a one size fit all solution, and then like, right, cram it to the heads of like 30 people, 30 kids, 20 kids, whatever, right?
No.
Whether they like it or not, right? It cannot be a one size fit all solution for the society at all. So I don't know. I love that video. That's why I shared it.
I did too.
Man, it's I can speak for hours on this topic, but yeah, it makes me think a lot. Like,
And
Colin, why didn't you go to school? What happened there?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
My dad finished school in grade 8, moved from Mexico to Canada. So I grew up in a home where when I graduated high school, that was a big deal. He
that's great.
continued on the trade. So I didn't understand what post-secondary was. Never talked about it. Nobody in school talked to me about it, and it just wasn't a topic. We were just, I guess, what you'd call today a blue-collar family, which means a lot more today than it did back then. So it just wasn't something. But you know what? I never even thought about it. I didn't have those aspirations, I guess. Part of the other thing is, like when you're talking about, if it's ADHD or whatever, I was telling Kelly earlier, I have the attention span of a newt, right?
Newt. Wow, that's pretty low. That's pretty low. You're like, oh, look.
And you know what I think the difference is when I went to school and why I didn't continue on was the teaching methods were different. The expectation was different. I look at my kids' teachers. My kids' teachers are kids, right? I'm not going to say they're more.
We had old ladies. Yeah, we had old guys and old ladies.
True, right? It was never, even if we had phones, it wouldn't have been acceptable. Now they have phones on their desk. They had touches. They had whatever. They had music playing in the background. If I crumpled a paper or tore my page, right, I'm getting smacked on the back of the head or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was acceptable. So for me, it just wasn't a fit. Right. And I remember too, that was years ago, 35 years ago, I was finishing high school, and I don't even know who it was, a teacher or principal had said to me, so you're coming back next year. And I remember saying, for what? Like, am I going to forget my coat? And
gotta turn in your homework. Got summer school. Go on.
And you know what? The one thing I was good at was very basic math. Was we were required to have 100 credits to get your high school diploma, right? So going into grade 12, the 12th grade, I had 46 credits. I was an overperformer, as you can tell. And so I had to figure this out. So I figured out how I could use retroactive credits and all these other things to get my 100. And I could show you right now, I got exactly 100, right?
Exactly.
And you know what? That's what I needed to get through.
Yeah.
Right. I figured it out, and that probably helped me a lot because I really had to bust it in my 12th grade to make it happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I had to sell my way to college, to high school graduation. I went to one of my teachers. I was like, look, because I signed up for the military December of my senior year, so we didn't graduate till May. Yeah. And so I was in like it was called like pre-enlistment or something like that while I was still in school. And I went to my math teacher. I was in algebra 2 in senior year. Like math was not for me. Like geometry, I killed it. I don't know what it was, but I went to the teacher. I was like, look, I'm about to go defend the country and I really want to do it. Can you pass me? And I got a D+. That was the only way I graduated. Swear to God, I tell you. And he looked at me like, I can't say no. You know, he's like, I can't say no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things, even for me, guys. Like I actually graduated at 33. So and here's the thing, I didn't need to. I was already very accomplished by the time I decided that I wanted to do it. But I wanted
Tell me that part.
and what I realized too at the time was I only needed one course the whole time. I had no idea how many I needed. So I went in and I challenged my language arts 30. Blew the test. I think I got like 95 on the test and was just handed a diploma. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be who I am today had I graduated right out of high school, because I worked harder than everybody else, because I always felt like I had to. I always felt like I had to.
You got a chip on the shoulder. Yeah.
I didn't have one piece of paper holding me back. But you know what? I carry, I still carry that same hustle into everything that I do.
Yeah.
I put 150% into everything. And I'm not sure that had I graduated when I did, that I would be where I'm at today. I can pretty much guarantee you I wouldn't be. So I think on a certain level, yeah, it wasn't for me in that time. I got it later, but I'm better for it. As weird as that is, I think I'm a better person for it.
No. So late bloomer. So VJ was the only one that went to school straight out of high school.
No, but I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I think I was trying. I mean, something that fascinates me is finding answers, right? And I keep asking the questions for everything. I've challenged every other thing that I was told to me, taught to me, and I found that many things were not true that were actually originally believed to be true. And I think school promises you to give you all the answers, but it doesn't actually. You know what? The school and then the teachers don't like questions. You cannot ask a question. Teacher, one question, like I have a question. If 30 kids have to ask questions, they cannot finish their curriculum every day, right? I mean, like, yeah, you have seen the curriculum. I've seen it. It doesn't make any sense. I think the kid you go talk to a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, the spark in that kid. I mean, I've seen raising my own son, right? I mean, when you put through the system, like the spark in their eyes, it's like so fresh when they're 3-year-old, 5-year-old. What happens when they're 18 years old and 20 years old? What happens to that spark actually?
Beat down into you need to do what we tell you to do with your life.
Yeah, I mean, the society loves to put people in a box. I'm so not a big fan of that. Yeah, and I don't think it serves anyone any better. I think people lose their spark for whatever reason. You're continuously, what are you trying to do? Actually, you're asking people to submit. Why? For what?
Okay, so let's look at this holistically. Let's just play this out in today's scenario as an employer, right? How is that any different? People working for me today, if I treat them the same way and I say, if you better pay attention, this is going to be on the test, right? Let's take it into context today. Has anything changed, right? Are we just repeating history, right? Because there's good employers and there's poor employers, and the experience is going to be you start to work for a certain employer. The reason you're going to stay is because they're a good employer, right? They're asking good questions. They're developing you, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, are you allowed to put your hand up and ask a question? If you have an open door policy or whatever you want to call it, you're going to stay there. You're going to grow with that environment, right? That's
100%.
one thing that I think the way it wasn't the teachers, it was the system, right?
Yeah.
I think there was very good people like we have today. There's very good people could be in my system that can't grow because they're not allowed to grow. Right? They're being told, this is what you do. You're in your box. Stay there.
Yep. They put the teachers in the box too.
Absolutely. The teachers are in a box. Everybody's in a box, right?
Why do they do that?
So, you're a lone wolf if you go outside of those lines, right? And then what happened in the 90s is, think outside the box, right? And then it took an entrepreneur to say, well, own the box.
Yeah, because I'm gonna make my own box.
I'm gonna make my own box, right?
Yeah.
So
one could argue that maybe that is one of the main freedoms that you don't realize you're gonna get when you become an entrepreneur. Is essentially the freedom to be able to make the choice on how you're going to do it, how you're going to make it better. You're not being told by other people how you have to do it. You're saying, I have to accomplish a goal. What are the 5 different ways I can get there, and what's going to be best for me? I would say that I've probably changed the way that we do business development at Capital 3 or 4 times in the time that I've been at Capital, just because new things came up, there was a better way to do it. I embraced it. I didn't wait. I took action. Whereas if you work in a big organization, you would have to get approvals. You would have to trial it, show that it works. Like you don't have
bureaucracy.
To just change on a dime and make things better, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship gives you that ability, and it really is a bit of a superpower for small business.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people just rinse and repeat. They're like, hey, we are making millions of dollars doing this one thing. Why would we do anything different? A great example of that is my time in commercial real estate. It was like, well, that's how deals are done. You have to do this and then this and then this. It was a math equation. Do this, this, and this, and here's your outcome. But you have to do it for an extended period of time. And you're not supposed to deviate from it. And I started deviating from it, and it just didn't work out. And so I left and I went into entrepreneurship. And now I'm trying to go back and help commercial real estate, bringing AI to commercial real estate. And they're just like, why are we listening to you? You know, we're making millions of dollars. So you have to not only be open-minded, but you can't be like, you don't know everything. Come on.
Yeah.
No, you're not the smartest one in the room. And if you are, you're in the wrong room.
There's something as well to be said for timing, Brian. You can have an incredible idea, but the timing be off. The timing,
Tesla,
right?
Yeah, Nikolai Tesla, great example.
Yeah,
watched something on him the other day.
Like people have to be ready to accept a new idea. That right, and that comes in time. And I've seen plenty of things where that's the situation. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad business. It's not a bad system. But the people, the customers are not ready to receive it, right? That's a real challenge for a lot of business. You have to be the right idea at the right time to have that merge of success.
That's how it is in sales. Yeah. Right time, right person, right amount, right things you said, at the right time.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about business development and why I love business development. I'm such an advocate specifically for active business development, active marketing. And the reason is we have to get ahead of the need. So we have to let people know who we are, what we do, why our service makes sense for them ahead of that challenge, why it gives you an unfair advantage. If you're getting people at the time of need, they're finding you and every one of your competitors at the same time, putting you at a disadvantage. If you do active business development and you get ahead of the need and you shout from the rooftops, this is who I am, this is my company, this is what we do, this is how we help you. And when you need us, we'll be here. And you establish those relationships ahead of the need, the success rate goes through the roof for you. And so
proactive. That's right.
Proactive.
So, getting ahead of the need and making sure that it stays organized and they know, and you build trust, because they're not going to buy from someone they don't trust.
Yeah.
Because it's their money. They're like, you need to show me that what you're offering is more valuable than the money in my hand.
That's right.
Which is what I could do else with this.
Yeah. And like you said, their challenge has to be so bad that they're willing to give you their hard-earned money, right? So you not only need trust, you need them to recognize that your service is more valuable than that dollars and cents in their hand.
You should have a sales class in grade school. Seriously,
we really should.
I might have graduated.
Yeah. You know what? My nephew is in high school, and they have introduced an introduction to business class, and I was like, my God, why is it only now in like 2025 we're doing business class in high school? Come on.
You know what it is? Everything we've made everything. I'll say we've made everything so hard to change. Right? It's this curriculum can't be changed because it's been set in place. It's going to be there for 4 years. It's going to be there for 5 years, whatever it may be. Even knowing, hey, we're teaching these people this, even though it's obsolete, right? We live in an obsolete world. What happened yesterday is obsolete. So let's not offer a new course tomorrow with old material, right? So Vijay, like I love that video, and you knew I love that video, right? Because I reposted it and I've watched it over and over and over, and it resonated with me, right? And I've had some people reach out to me say it resonated with them, and I think this interludes, if I can take what I was going to talk about today. It blends right into that. I read this title and it was "There Are No Best Practices," right? Because in the world, everything we do in business is, oh, best practices, best practices. Well, guess what? That proves that theory is incorrect. There is no best practice. What worked 2 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago does not work today.
No.
Right. And you can really, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Just on that phrase alone, there are no best practices.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
What's happening today is the best practice, right? It's never been better than today, but what is it going to be tomorrow?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time in corporate, and the word best practices, quote unquote, called in. Okay, what are the best practices to do X? What are the best practices to do Y? And it's often referred to websites of like Google, Microsoft, and so many others. I mean, speaking from experience, and what I've seen is like for example, Microsoft, not pulling on them, they're a great company, but at the same time, what Microsoft is doing is that, oh, hey, look at me, listen to me. I have the best practice, right? Google says the same thing. I have the best practice. Like they keep doing this, right? Yeah. But what applies for Microsoft may not apply for Zadwell, may not apply for Conversion, may not apply for Hypervac, may not apply for, right? So that is Microsoft's best practice in a way to sell. But I don't think there's any best practice. What applies in Brian, your home cannot apply to me, right? And there are certain things. Each home is different, and I don't think there's any best practice. Your practice is your practice. Practice what works for you.
Yeah, right. And I love you say that because I did my time as well, 17 years in corporate, and everything, whether it was safety, whether it was operational, SOP, whatever it was always a best practice. But none of it was current, right?
Yeah.
It was as current as 10 years ago or a decade ago, or whoever the current leader may be was always going back on a predecessor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And a lot of that is, how do you do it? You go from 100 to 0, right, in 10 seconds, right? That's what we see happening right now. People are falling backwards. And they're falling back on that. So when I read that, I had written it down and I'm like, okay, there's my topic, right? Yeah. That's the one I'm going to go on. And I didn't mean topic just for the show. When I say topic, that's something I'm going to chew on, right? Something I'm going to go into because we just find ourselves falling into that. Even my daily conversations, a lot of times in my head, up until I read that phrase, I still had it. What's the best practice? What's the best way to do this? Well, there's always a better way.
Oh yeah. So I'm looking for efficiency.
Right?
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. So Kelly, what do you think on the best practice?
Well, I can say that with regards to, the podcast specifically, I'm probably updating the way that I'm doing it, whether it be the clips, whether it be the show production itself, whether it be the tools that I'm using every 6 months. So here's the thing. What was best practice for me 6 months ago is no longer best practice for me today. That's just how fast the world is evolving. And if I want to compete at the highest level, that's what I have to do. So I think maybe that's the argument for business is that we can't get set in what we say is our best practice and say that this is going to carry us for the next 5 years, because I think most businesses, you're going to be lucky if it carries you 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I mean, think of just any of these, major, large, iconic corporations, Google, Apple, they're just rinsing and repeating the one idea they had that started their business. They're not doing anything more, a great example, iPhone. It's looks different, but it's the same,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
no best practices.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm going to chew on that too.
Well,
see, Brian, that's coming from a Canadian, just so you know.
Oh no.
I'm not going to make the argument.
You're talking my mind.
I'm going to counter this because you know what? My business runs on process and procedure are what make me super effective, especially when I follow them on a consistent basis. What I am going to say is constantly question your processes. Constantly question. Ask yourself every 6 months, is there a better technology? Is there a better way for me to be doing this? Because the answer probably is yes. And so maybe it's not, let's not do best practices. Maybe it's let's be consistently open to the opportunity that we can improve and create better efficiencies with our practices and continue to become market leaders by doing so. That's going to be the secret long term. AI
That's
is
interesting.
your friend, but you have to figure out how to integrate it in a way that is beneficial for your business, and you have to update it when the time comes. Because if the companies aren't updating alongside, there's probably
Mm.
6 months from now.
Well, and you know,
Mm.
I think you hit the word there, because I'm constantly reading and reading and reading and reading and trying to grab nuggets here and there. And another one that hit me was you have to be consistently consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's moving ahead, right? That's the snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
second we
Right.
stop, the second we slow down, right? We start to draw back, and then we ask. That's when we start asking questions. What's going wrong?
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yeah.
we stop being consistent, right?
It comes
Yeah.
down to showing up too, right? Like, here's the
Yeah,
thing,
that's
Yeah.
right.
Ajay, you had a really rough night, man. Like, you were texting
Oh,
us
yeah.
at 1 in the
Yeah.
morning, you know, guys, I'm really feeling under the weather. I want to make it to this thing, but there's a chance I'm not going to make it today. Like, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. But here you are, dude. I woke up with like the most killer
Yeah.
sore throat this morning. A little bit of Buckley's, a
Right.
little bit
You
of
being
prep.
funny? I
And here
missed
we
last week because I was sick.
yeah, you were too sick to show up. That's okay. I guess
It was
what
a
I'm
bad voice.
what I'm suggesting here is that sometimes we're showing up when it's not ideal to do so, but we're showing up. And I think for most businesses, that is a superpower. If you can show up in your organization every week, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, right? There's plenty of weeks that I don't want to show up. You know, I was talking to Colin the last couple of weeks. Like the
Yeah.
past couple of weeks I've been swamped. I've been so
Yeah.
busy. Been working like 12-hour days every day in my business, on my business, for my clients, trying to keep things moving forward. It's been a hard few weeks. But you know what? I recognize that it's not always going to be easy. And it's funny because it wasn't that long ago that me and Shelby were talking about just like life is hard. Life is really hard, but you get to choose your hard. Are you going to do a crappy hard for someone else? Or are you going to do a good hard for yourself? Are you going to do the hard that makes your life better? Or are you going
Yeah.
to do the hard that makes somebody else's life better? And that's what you get to choose.
Mm.
It's going to be hard. Choose your hard.
Yeah.
Mm.
Love that, man. Love that.
That's good. Choose your hard.
Choose
Love
your
it.
hard.
I
right.
The topic I was wanting to talk about is interesting, at least to me. There's a between where you are and where you're going, there's a space, and it is incredibly lonely because you are the only one that can figure out how to get from where you are to where you want to go. No one can help you. No one's going to do it for you. And I was listening to some motivational content on YouTube, which I'll listen to, you know, folks like Jocko Williams, David Goggins, you know, guys like that. And it's just that, you know, and you just need to stay motivated, and that's very difficult.
Yeah.
But that alone time, you have to be good with yourself. So my question is, how do you get better at being good alone? Doing it alone, trying it alone, failing alone, winning alone, celebrating alone. Because there's some things that you might do to get from where you are to where you want to go. Something that might be holding you back is, you know, you sneak candies, you know, have candy in your desk. Well, no one knows that. No one's going to come slap it out in your hand, but you got to celebrate alone that you stopped putting candies in your desk.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah. Way to hit us with the hard question, Brian.
Sorry. That was supposed to be my last week's topic. I knew it was so good. But like I'm in that spot right there where we're about to do something, and it is, I mean, VJ being my co-founder, I can't even go to him, you know, and he can't even come to me for stuff. It's like we have to do it ourselves because we have to almost divide and conquer kind of thing.
Yeah. Can I take the start on this one?
You go ahead.
You chose to do what you're doing because you want to leave a great impact on the world, right? Your
Mhm.
why. It comes down to your why, right? Why are you
Mhm.
doing it? Why do I do the business development podcast every week? I don't make a fortune from the business development podcast. Most of the time we keep the lights on. That's really what we're doing here. But I recognize that I have the ability to do something that nobody had done before. Nobody had put out that much business development content. When I started in business development, there was nothing. There wasn't a book. There wasn't a podcast. There was tons of stuff for salespeople. There was tons of stuff for marketing people. There was like personal development, but there was nobody out there advocating for business development specialists. And I decided that was what I was going to do, that my mission was going to be to show up every week and help one business developer out there. And so our mission from the very beginning has been to educate and inspire. And obviously that's grown from just business development to entrepreneurs. We're listened to in 145 countries around the world. We're a top 100 show in 40 plus. We've made a massive impact, but it all comes down to that. I could have never seen that impact the day that I started talking to my wall in my basement. But my why then is just as powerful as my why now. You have to make sure that you're doing it. Your why is bigger than you, is bigger than just what you're doing in your house today, right? If you can see that big picture, it'll really help you. And the second part, Brian, is faith. You have to believe that you're going to succeed. And you know what? When it gets hard, you got to get on your hands and knees and you got to say a little prayer, man. I've been on my hands and knees saying prayers many, many times, being like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have faith it's going to work out. And it has every time. So, know your why, know it as deep as your soul. And when you hit hard points, say a prayer.
What are you calling? I already know what VJ is going to say. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, I agree with what Brian's saying. One thing I think about when it comes to that is there's many nights, as you know, I lay awake wondering what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going on with the economy, what's going to happen with my business. And recently I've been thinking about the particular business I'm in is important to me and to my customers. The rest of the world never sees it, no different than anybody's business, right? That's how we operate. And then I look at, okay, what's going to go wrong? Like Brian said, you get on your knees and you pray and you seriously reach out, right? You need a spiritual aspect. I believe that. But the hard part of faith, I think for me, and I have a very strong faith, is that we pray believing we're going to get answers. Faith is what gives us optimism, right? Because we don't, you don't wake up with an answer the next. Maybe you do.
No.
Sometimes you do, but it's that continuing on, giving you that optimism to continue to get on your knees again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. In between, you have win after win after win after win.
Loss after loss after loss after loss.
Absolutely, right? But as we climb that mountain, right, we just keep climbing. And I think we talked about it before, but you know what's behind that mountain you climb? There's another mountain.
Yep.
Right.
God told me that one too. When did he tell you that? Recently? Yeah. Jerk. Told me that recently.
Hey, you're absolutely right. There's another mountain, but guess what?
Yeah.
There's also an outfitter shop that just gave you better tools to climb.
And you're not starting from zero. You're starting from knowledge.
That's right.
So a little different, but
and you know what? And that's what I love about it, because every day when we carry on and we get to the next one and the next one, I phone people, right? Who do I call on, right? And there's people there. I get their advice on things. I use that. I take some for me. I give some to somebody else. And then people are phoning me. And the more experience I get, the more I find I need.
Yeah.
Right. But the more I can give. Right.
So there's an interesting part to this as well with regards to opportunity. And what I am going to say as well is you're not going to see the opportunities coming. Like, as much as you want to plan for the future, and actually I'm going to talk about that because I'm going to talk about goal setting. That's my thing today. But
this is all perfect. Wow, we didn't even talk about this.
That's the whole point. As much as you can plan for the future, I would argue the best opportunities are going to come to you and you're going to be like, wow, like, I could have never seen that come, right?
Inspiration.
Right? The Business Development Podcast was never on my radar. I never planned to do it. And yet it's been one of the most incredible things that I've ever done with my life, period.
How many people you met? Like,
right?
You introduced me to VJ, and VJ now and I are co-founding a company, and then there comes Colin limping in, like this is so, it's interesting. You're
right.
like the great connector, and I'm glad you took that leap.
But once again, this whole room is put together essentially from those connections that none of us saw coming. And yet here we are, Authentic Hustle. We're friends. We love to chat. We do this thing every week. But like, once again, what comes from this that we can't see coming, right? We can't see it coming. Something really incredible could come to each of us from Authentic Hustle. Yeah. Like the funny thing is you can't see the future. And no matter how much you want to
Syndicated network show, please.
As much as you want to plan for the future, it doesn't matter how much you plan because the future or the universe is going to throw something wild at you. What I've gotten really good at understanding as a business owner, as a human, is that the secret isn't to have all the answers. The secret is being ready to say yes when that next great opportunity falls into your lap. That's the secret. You just have to be ready to say yes, and you got to be in it long enough for that yes opportunity to come.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just wanted to add and like give all the credit to Kelly and a lot of others. And I think when I first came to Edmonton, this area, I knew no one, zero. I knew nobody. Then with all the faith and started going to the coffee with the chamber meetings and met so many amazing people. And Ken G, shout out to Ken G. And like, I think I met with him and so many other wonderful people. And I think when I met Ken G, that's when I think Kelly reached out to me. Hey, can you intro me to VJ? Right. Yeah. So I think what I'm trying to get at is I think I knew no one. And I think the only thing that I think also I'm thinking loud. I think we overthink a lot also. In every day, right? What's going to happen? Because we have a lot of facts with us and we think they're facts, some are not, some are yes, but we overthink a lot. Okay, because some is like from the history that happened and some is like what's going to happen in the future. And we hardly choose to live at sometimes. And that is an example that I brought from the kids the other day. I mean, the kids, they have the spark because they so live in the moment. But at the same time, we don't have to be stupid. Like we can plan for the future, but if we don't have to keep thinking about the future, what's going to happen. But I'm saying all this at the same time. I'm paranoid. I get lonely. It's tough. Like Brian and I know, like we chat a lot. Like so, it is lonely. It is difficult. But at the same time, I think we have to also stop overthinking and then just living your life a little bit. Breathe. Just go talk to people. Just have a conversation. Just do what you can do that day. Let's say today I didn't show up. Nothing is going to happen, right? But I still wanted to show up. That's fine. But every day is going to be different. Do what you can. But like I think the self-talk that we do, I think we have to be a little kinder to us.
Yeah,
I'm brutal to myself. Like I'm sure many are. I'm brutal to myself. The only person pushing me is myself. No one else. Yeah. Right. I think we have to be a little kinder to ourselves. Yeah, be a little kinder and just live a little bit and live in the moment, so that like you can keep going. Yeah, that's all I think I will tell myself. I'm not telling this to anyone. I'm just telling myself. So.
Yeah. But there's that fine line between this whole, work-life balance, and you're not going to achieve anything of significance unless you are absolutely, in my opinion, obsessed with it. Like you have to be like, it has to be like the rock in your shoe. Like I just got to get my shoe off to get this rock out. Yeah. Like it's bugging me and I can't sit, I'll be like just trying to relax. And I'm thinking of what I should be doing or what I could be doing or what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's not alone, that's all of us. We're all doing that.
We're all in our head. We're all in our head.
Like at this point, I've interviewed over 150 entrepreneurs. Yep. Every single one of them struggles with this. So you are not alone in it. We're all really hard on ourselves. We're all dedicated to a point of insanity. I think on that level. But I think you're right. It does take that level of I'm going to change the world to change the world.
Yeah. I don't even change the world. It's just bringing something that's in your head to your hand. Like that's crazy because this is fake. You can't see this.
Okay. This is a perfect segue into my topic. So let's talk about it.
Go ahead. Go.
Taking the ideas and turning it into a reality. Okay. Something that I'm incredibly passionate about, guys, is goal setting. And I do multiple goal setting lists a year. And I'll be honest, dude, I was like the most non-believer that you would ever meet. I still struggle with visualization. I've sat with so many people who are like, Kelly, you just need to visualize your future more. And I'm like, bullshit. I need to do it.
I need to see it.
I need to make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm in recovery. I'm working on this because here's the thing. If I believe in goal setting, I kind of have to believe in visualization too. And I actually learned something today about why it's important to do visualization. So I might start to incorporate it, but let's talk about it. Literally did a show yesterday talking about goal setting, specifically my goal setting routine. So I set 3 different types of lists. So every single Christmas break, I sit down in front of a fire, you know, whether it's just me or whether it's me and Shelby, and I will write out 2 goal lists. One, it's my corporate goal list for the year. What do I want to accomplish with my business? And my second one is my personal goal list. What do I want to accomplish within myself? And this can be coaching, this can be health related, this can be buying a house, this can be whatever. My business, obviously, will be typically growth related. What do I want to do with capital? What do I want to do with the podcast? Do I want to maybe do a authentic hustle this year? What are we doing? Right?
Yeah.
I will write out, and once again, no limits, guys, no limits. Write out 50. If you have 50, write out 50. But here's the thing. In a study conducted by Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at the Dominican University in California, participants who simply wrote down their aspirations, their goals, were 42% more likely to actually achieve them. Those who, right? 42%. Those who wrote down their goals and dreams had a significant advantage over people who do not. And the funny thing is, it sounds like woo-woo, right? But there are actually 2 scientific processes happening here. One is called the encoding effect. And this is really interesting. And it says, when you write down your goals, you engage in 2 critical processes, external storage and encoding. I imagine posting your goal on a piece of paper in your office. This is called external storage, and it makes the information easily accessible for review. Visual cues serve as reminders, reinforcing your commitment. And then encoding, this is what's really interesting. Encoding is a biological process within your brain where your brain analyzes and decides what information to store in long-term memory. In other words, writing your goals on paper. This does not mean typing them. This does not mean entering them into your iPhone. Physically writing your goals on paper drastically increases your chance of remembering the goal and ingraining it into your subconscious memory.
Well, step 1, you created something. You took a pen, you took a tool, and you made a blank sheet of paper filled with something. You did the first step of it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I write it down too.
There's a second part to this, Brian. And the second part is called the generation effect. And this is where exactly what you're saying. So now there's another science. So neuropsychologists have identified something called the generation effect. And here's how,
filled with something.
and here's how it applies to your goal setting. When you create mental images, visualization of your goal, you are actively generating it in your mind. This is called the first instance of the generation effect. Now, the second instance occurs when you then take that visualized goal and put it into words on paper. You write your goal down. So you visualize your goal first, then you write it down. As you write, you reprocess and regenerate the mental image, reinforcing its importance and manifesting it into reality. Guys, what does this mean? It means that goal setting is literally the very first step. Brian, you nailed it. It's the first step. And you know how hard it is to take the first step, right? Literally visualizing and writing out your goal is one step towards accomplishing that goal, which makes the next step easier, the next step easier. And science is showing that you are 42% more likely to accomplish a written goal. That's massive. Any of them. And I got this, guys, from something called, hold on here. Sorry. I got this from upmpower.com. And the article was called The Power of Putting Pen to Paper, How Writing Down Goals Transforms Dreams into Reality. And it's incredible, guys. I've been doing this in my business for the last 5 years. I've been doing the annual one every single year. And I've recently been doing a weekly as well, which I call a capital move the needle. So it's literally my move the needle list. How do I move the needle for my business this week? And it'll just be the critical tasks that I have to do to move the needle this week. And then I actually break that down into top things to do today. And I always write down at the start of every day, what are the top 5 things that would absolutely change my business today that are going to make the biggest impact for my clients or for me. And honestly, it just works. It just works. And it was funny because I was talking with Shelby about it earlier today, and I was just like, if I don't do this, I'm a mess. If I don't write down my goals and have that list to work from, I have so much going on in my brain. I have so much I want to do that I get analysis paralysis and I do nothing. The simple act of writing down the things that I need to do today really makes me do it.
To break it down to the minutia, I guess, is like everybody has a task list, right? Like even on your calendar or whatever it is, that's all that is. Those are tiny goals, right?
Yeah.
And if we treat it the same as we write down the task, we cross it off, and people overlook it. It's as if you can get good at, there's your grocery list. Here's what we need, right? You cross it off, you get it done. That's a goal, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I've been looking at it, as a task list. Here it is, task. Here's what I have to do. And for whatever reason they use that word, they do. It's really been good for me. The other thing is, I try to treat every day like I'm going on vacation in a few days, right? And then I relate it to my goals. I'm like, okay, shoot, if I was going on vacation on Friday and I couldn't be at my computer, I couldn't do certain things, what do I need to put on this list that I have to get done?
Yeah.
So what I've been doing and where I find my successes is it's not necessarily something I have to, but I know it's there. So I put it on that list, right? I put, or my goals, I should say, right? Because I promise you, anybody out there, if you look at it like all these things I need to get done before I get to that airport, what's going to happen? You're going to get it done.
You are.
And the same goes for work-life balance. If I want to get this done, I'm just treating it like every day. Like my days are getting a lot better and a lot more fluid because I know at the end of the day, this is when I want to be done. I'm going to still have to deal with some stuff, but a lot less than I was before because I find what I was dealing with before was stuff I just didn't do. Shit I left there, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, let's get after it. We've got goals. You knock them off, you put them to the side. I talked to Kelly about it, having our writing pads and the different ones. We talked about this yesterday.
Right here.
Right? And I find those things are very, very important. Everybody has their own way of doing it.
Yeah.
What's successful for you, but you have to do it. And you have to learn to cross them off or check mark.
Yes.
Or
there's power. There's power in the check mark. A lot of power.
There is. Right? I like the erase. I like the whiteboard.
I love having a task on my phone, and the second I hit it, it just disappears.
No.
Right. And it's funny. I've got a friend who I follow him closely. He always talks about having nothing in his inbox. Right.
Yep.
I have no idea. That's not my life. I really want to get to that. But
it's hard. It's really hard.
It's like your goal list as well, right? You have your goals and how far they reach out. That's like emptying that out. Like, do we empty our goals out and start new ones?
So funny thing about the way that I do my annual goal list, Colin, I might be a little like weird on this. I don't typically review them. And in all fairness, hold on. Here's my thoughts. I know what I want to do. I physically wrote them out on paper and I do weekly tasks. And here's the thing. I know for a fact I'm not going to accomplish all 50 of the goals that I write down or whatever. Like I know for a fact. But here's the thing. Every one of those goals was a major move the needle moment. So even if I only accomplish, let's call it 10. Of the 50 goals that I wrote down, it's a massive leap forward for the organization. And if you think about it from the standpoint of you're 42% more likely to accomplish a goal that you write down. My God, like if somebody told you tomorrow you're going to be 42% more efficient at your job, you're going to make 42% more money if you just start to do something. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do it immediately, right? You would even if it's even if you don't believe in it, science is saying it's 42% more likely you will accomplish your goals if you write them down. Just write down the damn goals. Like even if you don't believe in it, write down the goals. 42% more likely.
I think people don't like goals and like goal setting and writing it down because I do the very same thing. I started that when I was in real estate. That's like a thing, and I do it around the same time, Christmas. it's because they don't want to fail. They don't want to go, man, I couldn't cross that one off. That needs to actually be thrown away because I can't do it any longer. Failure is a part of the process. And I made a post a couple days ago, maybe yesterday, and it was about the movie Fight Club. I don't know if you've seen that with Brad Pitt and the other guy. Well, Brad Pitt looks at him and says, "Can I ask you a question?" The guy says, "Yeah, shoot." He said, "What if you were 30 failures away from your goal? How fast would you want to fail?"
Mhm.
So
Okay,
that's
fellas,
pretty good.
it's 12 o'clock, and I have a goal for 12:15.
Well, I have a goal for
There we go.
12:15. Get off of here. Get out of here.
But we
It's
should go.
it's ran long, but
I just want to add to wrap today's show that
Yeah.
if my last comment is like, if you haven't watched the Move the Needle video that Kelly, I watched the video. I loved it, man. I haven't watched all the videos, but I watched this one, the Move the Needle video that Kelly made. It's you have to watch it. It's beautiful. That's all I have to say.
He's getting good on video, isn't he?
my God, guys, I've been struggling with video. I'm still struggling with video.
Oh, hush. You're imposter syndrome over here.
I promise I'll get to it. Yeah, it's on my to-do list here. But thank you.
Right.
This is no question the
This
best
is the best.
authentic hustle. So if you've attended all the authentic hustles, this is the best one
That's
we've
the
done
best
yet.
one.
It is so much better with all four of us, Brian.
Yeah, sorry. You won't see that again. I won't get sick again.
You're never allowed to get sick again.
I'm never allowed to get sick.
And I just want to say, gentlemen, thank you for doing this. This has been an excellent experience. I look forward to it every single week. I know that people are going to start to look forward to this every single week. It's a highlight of my week, a highlight of
Oh, I like hanging out with you too. Calm down.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much, and congratulations on the first month of this. And I very much look forward to the next one.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right, gents.
All right,
See you,
See
everyone.
you.
next one.
Bye, everyone.
And that is a wrap. Good job, guys. Did we
All
go
right.
live everywhere?
Yeah, we were live.
Everywhere?
Well, I think so.
Was it live on yours?
I checked my LinkedIn and it looked like it was.
Okay, shit. That would be pretty incredible. Let's see. Are there any stats yet? You stay on with me for a second. You said 15 minutes. You're going to do another meeting?
Yeah, I just got to leave in 5 here.
Okay.
I'll-
Give me
I'll
one
make
sec
it
here.
there. Looked like we were live anyway. It popped up and